Hi guys, everyone. Good evening. Okay, I'm teacher Kadir Muhyideen. Welcome to this session on O-level tips and strategies for the physics exam. Okay, and we are going to have. Hope we'll have a good session. I want you guys to ask questions. Okay, make use of the chat as much as you want to. Ask questions that you would like to find out a bit more about the physics exam. And in between, I'll also be ready to answer questions, right? So we're going to just make sure that at the end of this, we have some idea on how to at least be ready, some early preparation for the physics O-level exam. Okay. Okay. So everyone, this is the O-level prep and exam strategy series. Okay. So today we focus on physics. Now, this also applies to students doing combined science. So we focus, though the main focus will be on pure physics, it also applies to students doing combined science, physics, and chem, right? All right. So now, what are we going to do is in this session, we'll focus very quickly on what is the format of the paper and what is the syllabus. What is the syllabus? Okay, just quickly overview that. And then we go and find out what are the must know common topics and answering techniques. What I'll do is I'll probably look at one of the O-level papers. So I suggest you guys keep your 10-year series standby. Okay, I think your latest 10-year series should have the 2025 and 2024 paper. So maybe I'll probably look, we can scan through the 2024 paper to get a feel of it. And then just quickly go through some physics practical tips. Okay. Now, those who joined us about 1 week back, we did something on a practical series, right? So today I'll just briefly touch on that. And of course, finally, just certain tips and strategies. Okay. 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 Let's see. Guys, you can start off by answering this question. What do you generally score for physics? Where do you think roughly you are at this moment? Where do you think you guys stand? Are you already scoring 75 and above? Roughly, where's your range? You can just put it in the chat. Okay, it's good. Guys, do take part in it. Okay, if you are getting A's, B's, I think it's a good range. Okay, C is also not too bad. Yeah. Oh, that's good. Yeah, very good. Okay, don't worry. If you are getting, right now, you're getting D or lower, not to worry so much. Okay, one thing, uh, okay, let's see. All right, Ken, thanks. Okay, guys, try to put your answers in the chat. Okay, or if you have any questions, you can ask in the Q&A. All right. Yeah. Hold on. Okay. Now I'm going to ask you all another important question. I want you to find. Let me know. Okay, when is the physics? Do you know the date of the physics paper? Okay, maybe I let you do a bit of researching. All right. Yeah, let's take a look at the format of paper and the overview of syllabus. Okay, guys, we need to know we're going to sit for the, let's say for students doing pure physics, right? we have the multiple choice paper, which is paper 1, which is a 1 hour paper, 40 marks. Okay, 30%, that carries 30%. Then we have paper 2, which carries the bulk of the weightage, 50%. These are your structured and free response questions. And of course, your practical. Okay, your physics practical is carries 20%. So it's important that we need to know where this weightage goes, how is it spread out, okay? So you see here, for paper 1 and 2, what is being tested is about 45% of the paper test, like, I mean the theory, the MCQ, and the theory paper is testing knowledge with understanding, right? Knowledge with understanding. And about 15% is just purely recall. Okay, like maybe definition. Okay, like they ask you what is the unit. Okay, like very direct, something that very easy lah. I mean, I'm not saying that all definitions are easy, but it's just a pure recall kind of question. Now, the other 55% will be the handling information and solving problems. Okay, I'm just talking about the percentage of paper 1 and 2, how is it divided. Now, this is for pure physics. And of course, paper 3, is assessing, of course, paper 3 is your practical. Your practical will assess your aspects of assessments, which is they're going to test your planning. Okay, your how you plan an experiment. Okay, and then you have the, of course, your manipulation, how you make use of the, like you follow instructions and carry out you set it up, how do you set it up, and then how you take measurements, collect raw data, and then how do you present it, how do you process the data, how do you present your data, like the table, coming up with the plotting the graph and things like that. And of course, how do you analyze? Okay, what's the conclusion and things like that. So your paper 3 is basically testing that. And you can see there, right? The planning they say is about 15%, which is about 6 marks. Just now I said paper 3 is look at that. Your practical is 40 marks, right? Out of which about 6 marks goes into planning. Okay, so this is for those students doing pure physics. Now, those students doing combined science, right? Physics and chem. Okay, I'm just using physics and chem because that's what we do at MS. But it applies to even if you are doing chem and bio, or mostly that. I mean, that's a possible combination. I think physics and bio also there is. Okay, but anyway, your paper 1 is still MCQ, 40 marks. 20 marks will be physics, 20 marks will be chemistry, and the weightage is 20%. And then your paper 2 is the physics paper, 1 hour, 15 minutes. Okay, 1 hour, 15 minutes, and 65 marks, that's 32.5%. And then your chemistry is another 32.5%. So if you add up the total, it comes to 85%. So the last 15% is your practical. So the practical is 30 marks. 15 marks will be a physics question. 15 marks will be a chemistry question. Or if you are doing biology, then 15 marks will be biology. So guys, it's important for you to have some general idea or what is the paper. At least by now, you should know what are the papers you're sitting for. All right. Okay, so for papers 1, 2, and 5, it applies to physics, right? Paper 1 is the MCQ, paper 2 is the structured question, which is purely physics, and paper 5 is the practical. Paper 3 is the chemistry paper. So again, you see the knowledge with understanding, about 50% of the marks, and about 20% goes to recall, and handling information and solving is about 50%. So you can see combined science generally is because handling information and solving problems is the, I would say, slightly harder type of question. Later, I'll show you what this knowledge with understanding and handling information is, okay? Okay, now before that, right, before we go there, okay, I'm going to ask you all the next important question. Okay, guys, can you tell me in the chat, those doing pure physics, can you tell me when is your paper two date? Okay, do you know when is the start of the paper two? Physics paper two, and those doing combined science, can you tell me when is your physics paper two? Guys, you can tell me in the chat. Rehan, what do you mean tomorrow? You have a prelim paper, is it? Okay, good question. O level, O level. Okay, a prelim, prelim will be according to your school, right? Okay, my question is, of course, for O level. Your, of course, prelim will be based on your own school. Yes, correct. Yeah, Darshan, very good. 29 October, that's correct. Okay, mid-October. Okay, right now you all should know your date already. Yeah, you should have the date. Okay, I think 29 October is the date for both your pure physics. 29 October is the date for pure physics as well as pure physics as well as combined science physics, paper two. Okay, let me ask one more question. Okay, can you tell me? Okay, guys, do go and take a look at it. If you don't know the dates yet, all you need to do is just go and type SCAB. You just put SCAB O level timetable. Okay, you will have the entire timetable for 2026. Okay, make sure it's SCAB O level 2026. Okay, from there you can check it. Okay, just very quickly, let me just tell you the physics practical, right? Your physics practical is on October 5th. Physics practical is October 5th. And that's not very long from here. Okay, and those doing combined science, your practical is on the 8th of October. 8th of October. So, guys, why I'm talking about this is more than anything, you need to know the dates now. Okay, and you know that this all you can plan your revision accordingly. All right. Okay, we are talking about knowledge with understanding and handling information. So, what is that? So, simply put, right, guys, knowledge with understanding is like it's testing you what are the scientific laws. Like it can ask you what is Newton's first law of motion. Okay, it can ask you to define resistance. Okay, uh, you can ask you about the theories. The theories like kinetic model of matter. Okay, why does a gas exert pressure? That kind of you know direct questions. So the whole idea is it's like you can say that this is the part where they are actually asking you more for just to check what is your understanding of things. So the words like define, state, describe, explain, or outline, all these requires you to recall something. It's not just purely recall, but like when it comes to explain, right? Explain, it's not just recall. You have to know you need to know the concept and apply that to the context of the question. So you see, it will be required to recall and explain. So this is knowledge with understanding. These are the kind of questions. Now, handling information, right? Handling information and solving problems. Basically, any question that involves you to use the formula K, calculate any calculation is already handling information. So all your calculation. So it's not necessary that knowledge with understanding is going to be easy. Some of you will actually be better when it comes to like just using the formula, using the data. Okay, but in a general context, okay, you might find questions that requires you to handle information of varying difficulty, especially when you go to questions like those data analysis, and depends on the topic. You see, some of you might be better in like the later topics, but and some of you may have difficulty with kinematics and dynamics and things like that. So it all depends on the topic also. So you see the questions, like you look at the last part, it says questions testing, uh, which starts with the words like predict. So you look at the words itself, right? That looks a little higher level. Predict, deduce, suggest. Okay, so it's like making you think a little bit based on. Okay, so think a little bit based on your the information given. So you have to not just it's not just direct explanation, okay, but this one requires you to like make some kind of smart uh suggestion, okay, or to think what will be the result like based on whatever is given. And of course things like calculate or determine, these are your purely quantitative work. All right. Okay, since we are at it, right? So we are talking about those handling information, sorry, knowledge with understanding and handling information. These two will respect to your theory papers, paper one and paper two. And of course, the other thing is your own experimental skills, lah. Okay, how do you follow sequence of instruction? This is of course applies to your practical. Okay, following a sequence of instructions. Okay, using the apparatus and materials. How do you record, make and record observations? How do you tabulate it? Do you record it to the correct decimal place, the precision? Do you write down the correct units? Okay. Those who attended the physics practical series last week, right? You know that we actually discussed that, right? Okay, how do you make estimates? Now, when you take a reading, sometimes you need to know that you need to repeat a set of reading. Okay, then after that, let's say you plot a graph or you have some data. Based on that, how do you interpret and evaluate the observations? So all these are more for your physics practical. Okay, and of course the planning, the investigation and select techniques and all, that one is purely your the 6 marks of your planning question. Okay, and finally there will be a part which asks you to evaluate the methods, like what are the sources of errors, or what are the limitations of the experiment, and to suggest possible improvements. Now this one, right, while you can prepare for it, right, while you can prepare for it based on your past practicals, okay, the thing is you also need to know, it all depends on the experiment that's given to you. Whatever experiment is given to you, you have to, your answer has to be, is very specific to that experiment. Okay. Now, of course, you can prepare for it by looking through previous practicals and see how this evaluation is done. But still, at the end of the day, when you go through all these different kind of experiments, that will come in. You will actually find it a lot easier when you've gone through a few practicals and how to write this evaluation. Then only when it comes to the actual experiment, whatever you are doing on the O-level day itself, right, practical day, you are able to come up with the proper errors and limitations, right? So everything is you need to do practice. Basically, it all boils down to what is the practice you have. Okay. Okay, guys. Here's a question. You can think about it and quickly put it in your chat. Which paper do you think that you're most worried about? Now that we talk about, they just briefly talk about which paper are you most concerned about? Mm, Okay, paper two. Okay, some of you are well, okay, the practical, yeah. Paper two, mostly paper two. Okay. Okay. So mostly I see it's either paper two or paper two or paper three lah. Okay. And I think that's a fair trend because what do you call structured? Yeah. So mostly I see your concerns are around paper two and some of you paper three, which is I think fair enough. And some of you put paper two and paper three. Okay, so it's actually quite common lah across all of us. To be honest, uh, I think as a student, I was a little more worried about paper three because that one, because we have the least. You see, we it's like I mean, once you have, the next thing is your prelim paper, right? Your prelim practical, and after that, it's already your O level practical. So, and you need to handle things and do and collect data, right? Within that given period of time. So you are like a little more worried about it. But and of course, paper two is where bulk of the marks is. And we may not be all that very confident of our like whether we can answer everything very well because and that's the challenging one, right? Okay, so today, right? Okay, for those of you who joined late, I just suggest that please, if you have your 10-year series, please keep it close. Later, we will be going through one paper. We won't go through it fully, but at least we try to look at it. Yeah. Okay. So, guys. Okay. Right. Let's just take a look at the syllabus. Now, for those doing pure physics, right, and those doing combined science, okay, here that there are like some topics that more or less the same. Okay. Combined science, you have slightly less topics. Okay, but still, you come across quite a number of the topics here. Okay, so these are physical quantities, kinematics, dynamics, turning effects, pressure, work, energy, power. Okay, uh, kinetic particle model. The thermal process is like conduction, convection, radiation. Those doing combined science, there's very little thermal properties, right? Okay. And then we have the general wave properties, and we have the EM spectrum, light. Now, general wave properties for those doing pure physics, that includes sound waves. That sound includes sound waves. Then for electricity and magnetism, okay, we have static electricity, current electricity, DC circuits, practical electricity, magnetism, electromagnetic induction. Combined science students, you don't have electromagnetic induction. And a lot of this, like a lot of the topics there, right, is like the depth is a little lesser. But you can see they are all very similar, right? And of course, guys, you know that they only started radioactivity like 2 years back. So if you look at your 10-year series, right, or if you go by topical, you're not going to find many questions on radioactivity. But the thing is, radioactivity was like started back 2 years back, right? And they started this 2 years back, and you can already see that they are testing this topic the last 2 years. Okay, they tested in 2024, they tested in 2025, and you can more or less guarantee yourself that it's not just the MCQ question. They are most likely going to test something on radioactivity in your paper too. Okay, if you look at if those of you who have your 10-year series, right, you go and see 2025 paper and you look at the 2024 paper. You can see questions on radioactivity in paper 2. Okay. So guys, okay, anyway, this is for those, just for the benefit of those doing combined science, right? Okay, this is roughly, you can take a picture of this. Okay, those doing combined science, physics. Okay, these are your roughly the topics for the physics part, lah, just the physics part. Anyway, this Friday there will be the chemistry part, right? Those of you who attend it, you can actually get information on chemistry as well. Okay, so you can see more or less the topics are similar, but the depth is a lot lesser, all right? A lot lesser. Okay, guys, this is normally we actually have a poll, but this year we chose not to have a poll. But you can tell me in the chat which topic is the most difficult for you. I can later we can see which one, we can see a trend amongst everyone. Guys, can you put in the chat which topics? You can choose two topics if you want. It's okay. You can put two topics. Yeah. Let's see. Guys, the more people participate, we will get an idea. Mm, okay. Yeah. So I see there's a bit of a mixture of answers this time around. Okay, quite a number of you, I'm actually surprised that you actually put general wave properties. Okay, but I know topic 9, electromagnetism and electromagnetic induction, that one is, because that's probably the last topic that you are learning. And it is, I would say, is the hardest to grasp, lah, especially electromagnetic induction. Okay, and there are some of you who actually put topics 2, topics 1. Okay. And but I'm surprised that this time around I find quite a number of you actually put general wave properties. Yeah. Okay. Normally that's not the trend, but maybe, yeah, I don't know. I see quite a number of you actually put general wave properties. So like what I said, it all depends. It all depends on which topic you find you have difficulty answering questions. Like what I said, right? Kinematics and forces and dynamics. Some students, even though it's taught early, some students still struggle with it. Okay, so you can see it's a spread, lah. Okay, it's a general spread there. Okay, all right. Let's now move to the must know common topics and how do we answer them. Okay, let's just quickly glance through and then we take a look at the 2024 paper. Okay, guys, look at this. This is just a general spread of how the questions have been in the last, in the year 2020 to 2016 and 2015 to 2011. So you can see here, questions on kinematics and dynamics, right? And work energy power, more or less always comes out in paper 2. Okay. Now, when you talk about mechanics, you can expect MCQ, you can expect all the topics just now, which was listed earlier. But when you talk about kinematics and dynamics and work energy power, the trend is paper 2 will always have it. So you can see the average is about 20%. And then if you look at those electricity-based questions, right? DC circuits, can you see DC circuits is 8.3, practical electricity 5.6. So that's DC circuits is another confirm paper 2 question. And then light, you can see light 8.6%. okay, on average. So you can expect a question on light, whether it's on refraction, whether it's on reflection, uh, more or less it will come out. Okay, this is the general trend. So, and of course, one of the electromagnetism or electromagnetic induction question. Okay, if you look at that, they can either ask an electromagnetism or electromagnetic induction question. That's 9.5%. Okay, if you look at this trend here. So it's just a breakdown of roughly where is the heaviest weightage. Okay, mechanics and electricity. Of course, I can also, the argument is mechanics and electricity have the most subtopics lah. It has the most topics also. So you can't run away from it. But if you actually flip through your paper two, right, the questions, you will get a trend. You can actually observe a trend, okay? All right. Now let's just see what are the commonly tested. Now, one thing about physical quantities, units, and measurement. This is the very first topic, guys. Okay, whether you are a pure physics student or combined science student, why is this topic important? Because one thing is whichever topic, you need to ensure that the units for your final answer is correct. You have to give the correct units. Okay. If you get your units wrong, they chances are they will at least minus 1 mark. And if you keep making this mistake, you can be penalized for it. Now, why is this topic one of the most important? Because it's not just your paper two, your paper three, which is your practical, it's all based on units and measurements, right? Recording lengths to the correct dp, uh, temperature to the correct decimal place and units, time. Okay, so again, units and dp, all this is important. So the importance of this topic, and if you flip through paper two, occasionally they will ask questions on units and measurement, like what is giga, wow, what is the prefix, things like that. So this is an important topic because it has somewhat, every topic will always have something to do with the units and how you record it, right? So you can't take this lightly. Though I mean you don't really need to prepare so much for this topic, but the fact is your practical alone is already testing these topics quite a lot, yeah? Okay, for kinematics and dynamics, guys, you need to know these are really, really important topics. The thing is, later when I show you the paper, you'll know. They have been always asking questions on terminal velocity. They give you either a velocity time graph or a displacement time graph. Okay, and these are common questions. Likewise, dynamics, uh, questions on the second law of motion, third law of motion, coming up with a free body diagram or drawing the forces acting on an object. These are very, very common. Okay, very, very common. Okay, at this point, right? Okay, I'm going to ask all of you a question. Let's see whether you know this. Okay, you all know about third law of motion, right? What does third law of motion says? If object A exerts an force on object B exerts an equal and opposite force on object A, right? Okay. Okay, listen to the question. I want you to tell me what is the action reaction pair for weight of an object. Okay, guys, can you answer that? Okay, can you tell me based on Newton's third law, what is the action reaction pair for the weight of an object? Okay, guys, go ahead. What is the action reaction pair for weight? Okay, Kaden, your answer is correct. Yeah. Okay, your answer is correct. Must be the object. Okay. You see, somebody asked, must be the object be lying on surface or can it be in mid-air? What do you think? Okay, guys. Somebody asked this question. Must this object be in mid-air or must it be lying? Now, you see, whether we are sitting on this chair, okay, so the first point to ask is this: whether we are sitting on this chair or not, whether we are standing on the floor, okay, you know that if let's say I walk up 2 meters and I just step out of, let's say I got up a ladder and I step off it, I am not in contact with anything, right? But you still know that the earth is going to pull me. So your weight is going to act no matter where you are, whether you are on the ground, you're on top of a building, you're inside the aeroplane, the weight of the earth is going to act on you, right? So based on that, okay, I see some of you answered that. Okay, good. Gravitational force acting on the object by earth, gravitational force acting on the earth by the object. So guys, okay, I see about force of on earth by object. Very good. Okay, guys, the thing is, let me put the answer for you all. So basically, those who said normal contact force, that will be a misconception. Downward force exerted by weight of object. Okay, guys, okay, this is the misconception. I want you all to write it down in your book. Okay, so it is not the normal contact force. First of all, it is not the normal contact force. So weight is the force, Earth exerts on object. So how do you say Newton's third law? A on B and B on A. So the action reaction pair is the force object exerts on Earth. Okay, guys, I've answered this in the chat. So it's important that you know because this question has been asked quite a number of times, and a lot of students still thinking it's the normal contact force. One or two of you put air resistance, guys. All that is not. In fact, what is the action reaction pair for the normal contact force? Right now, all of us are seated on a chair, right? So the normal contact force is the force that the chair exerts on you. And you see, you need to understand normal contact force is the force the chair exerts on you. So the action reaction pair is the force that you exert on the chair. Now you will be thinking the misconception comes about is because you'll be thinking, hey, isn't the force that I exert on the chair my weight? The answer is no. Okay, the force that you exert on the chair is not the weight, even though it feels like that is the force that you are exerting because of the weight. But remember, weight is, let's just quickly take it. Weight is the force that Earth exerts on you, and the action reaction pair is the force that you exert on Earth. The normal contact force is the force the chair exerts on you, and the force action reaction pair is the force you exert back on the chair. So, guys, let's all get this one right. Okay, the Newton's third law. Okay, I will go through one of these. Hold on. Let me just. Okay, I'm going to talk about what I'm going to show you one question here. But before that, okay, just quickly. Thermal physics. You can expect questions from kinetic model of matter. Okay, like what causes what causes the pressure inside the gas. Okay, and of course the thermal processes like questions on specific latent heat, specific heat capacity, Q equals to MC delta theta, Q equals to ML, and things like that. And waves and light, okay, questions on Snell's law, very common. How to draw a ray diagram for the converging lens. All these are very common questions. Okay, for those doing combined science, right? You don't really need to worry about the converging lens, but you still need to know how to use Snell's law. N equals to sine I over sine R, okay? Okay, electricity, guys, there will always be questions on DC circuits, okay? Your basic calculations, and then that one you cannot run away from it. Okay, you go and look at any paper two, you will find questions on DC circuits. Can electromagnetism, like testing you on Fleming's left hand rule, the right hand grip rule, and for electromagnetic induction, you just need to explain based on the laws of EMI, Faraday's law and Lenz's law. Okay, make sure you know the correct formula and application. Correct formula and application, and of course, make the correct substitution. Okay, all right. Okay, I'm going to stop this for a while. Okay, I'm going to share something else. Okay, guys. I believe you have your 10-year series. Now, those combined science students, you can take a look at your own TYS, but you can take a look at your own TYS. But I'm going to just share one of those pure physics paper. Okay. Okay, guys, I hope you can see the screen here. Okay, you can see this. Okay, this is the pure physics paper, but combined science students, you can also refer to this, yeah. But you can refer to this, but you can still take a look at your own paper just to get a feel of how the physics paper 2 looks like. Okay, this is the 2024 paper. Okay. Uh, you look at the first question, right? I want you all to answer this question, everyone. Okay, please answer in the chat. Or at least, can you tell me what topic this is? You must know what topic this is. Yeah, forces, yeah, kinematics. This is kinematics. Okay, and yeah. Okay, so most of you got the answer right. So the value of acceleration near the surface of the Earth is 10 meters per second squared. Okay. Now you look at that. A large ball falls vertically from rest and bounces on the ground. Now the ball first hits the ground at time 3 seconds with a speed of 15 meters per second. So this one, right? It falls and hits. Now, interestingly, right, explain how these values show that air resistance acts on the ball. Now, for combined science students, right, you don't really need to worry about air resistance. That's not in your syllabus, but you can still listen to this idea here. Now, how do I know air resistance acts on the ball, right? Explain how these values. You see, if there is no, if the object if there's no air resistance, right? You look at this formula, guys. A equals to V minus U over T. Okay, so based on that, all of you know this formula, right? It falls from rest. By right, if there's acceleration of 10, 3 seconds later, it should be hitting the ground with 30 meters per second. So if there's no air resistance, it should be hitting the ground with 30 meters per second. The fact that it's hitting the ground with speed less than 30 meters per second shows that as the ball falls, it's experiencing significant air resistance along the way. Yeah. Okay. So that is an answer to that. Anyway, now you see, I just wanted to highlight to you something. This question, you look at that, it's 4 marks. They are actually asking about the ball is in contact with the ground for 0.2 seconds and then bounces upwards. At t equals to 5 seconds, the ball reaches its highest point at the top of the bounce. So you see, the first part of the fall, right? It's falling down. Okay, it's falling down and it's already experiencing air resistance, right? It's falling down. So that is the journey downwards. Okay. And in a way, when it falls, it is already, it is actually originally is accelerating, but it slows down, not slows down. The velocity, its acceleration is getting lesser and lesser and lesser. Now, those who do this, right, this is actually testing you this graph, It's actually testing you this graph, which is something to do with terminal velocity. It's actually testing. The first part is all a graph that looks like this. Okay. And guys, it's not something so straightforward. That's why it's 4 marks. It's 4 marks. Let me tell you, this was one of those questions. If a student from 2024, right, had experienced this question, some of them may have lost quite a bit of marks here because they may not have realized. They could have just looked at this very lightly because there are two parts to this question. Okay, there are really two parts to this question. After the first part, after it reaches 3 seconds, after it hits the ground, the ball is going up again. And then that's the journey upwards. When it's moving upwards, it's actually slowing down. Okay, it will slow down. Whereas when it's when it's falling from the top to down, it speeds up, but at a decelerating rate. It's slowing down. What I mean is its acceleration is getting lesser and lesser. Whereas when it's moving up, it's actually slowing down, and at the same time, air resistance acts on it. So it's quite a challenging graph to draw. Okay, so the second part of it actually looks like that. If you go and look at the second part, the graph will look something like that. Okay, it's like this, something like this. All right, so do go and take a look at this question. Okay, I just want to give you a feel of the paper. All right, guys, try out this question, please. The combined science students, also you can try out this question because this is very much something that you need to know. Okay, everyone, please try out this question. Please try out both 2A and 2B. Okay, this one is from the topic of forces and dynamics. Dynamics. Okay, everyone, please try out this question. What's the first one, guys? Name the property of body which resists a change in motion. Okay, I think there's a word for it, right? Yeah, it's inertia, guys. It's inertia. Okay, inertia. Now, of course, mass is a measure of inertia, but you cannot be answering that as mass. So there's a term for it, inertia. Basically, your Newton's first law, right? Your Newton's first law is based on it. Okay. So guys, please answer this question. Everyone, try out this question now. It's talking about the so guys, based on what we discussed on Newton's third law, what did we say? Newton's third law, A on B. So what is it saying? So driving force between the car is the 4,000 force on the car. The 5,000 force on the car. Okay. This is the 5,000 Newton force, driving force, right? So what is the action reaction pair, guys? Okay, you see, guys, first of all, if it's a 5,000 Newton force, the action reaction pair is definitely not this. Okay, it's 100% not this. Okay, this is a totally different force. If your, okay, just to give you a context, if your weight is 600 Newton, this is the force the earth exerts on you. So if you look at the earth's point of view, right, you will exert an equal and you remember your Newton's third law, it says equal and opposite force. So if it's a 5,000 Newton force, is the force on the car, right? Driving force is the force on the car. And you have to say that is this the action reaction force is a force of 5,000 Newton that the car, because this is the force on the car and the road, right? So it's the force of 5,000 that the car exerts on the road. So this is the, what did you say? A on B, B on A. So you need to be sure. That's how you answer it. Okay. Yeah. Correct. The 5,000. Very good. Okay. There are some of you force of car towards the right. Yeah. Okay. But you want to be specific. Force on the road. 5,000 Newton force on the road from the car. Very good. Exerted as equal as the other half. Yeah. So you want, okay, you want to answer clearly. Yeah. You cannot be like trying to like just stating Newton's third law. Okay, guys, can you answer? Let's just quickly answer this one. Okay, those combined science students also please do this. This one is part of your syllabus. Okay, this is a calculation. Yeah, force. I think yes, it's good to write on the left. Yeah, it's good to write towards the left. I think that's a good one. Towards the left. Yeah. Okay, guys, this is the question. Can you calculate this? What's the acceleration? How will I do it, guys? How will I do it? There's a force of 5,000 and there's a force of 3,500. So 5,000 minus 3,500 equals to my resultant force. What's my resultant force? So you have 1,500. Yeah, 1.88. Yeah, very good. One point. Okay, so you have to be careful. You must not just apply the 5,000. You must minus 5,000 minus the whatever force acting backwards. Okay, so guys, remember you have to do 5,000 minus 3,500. Okay, those of you, yes, that's right. So remember this, you must remember to minus the 3,500 because this is the force acting backwards, you see. You cannot ignore that. So after that, you get A equals to 1.88 meters per second squared. So that's good. Okay, so guys, anyway, just quickly, how do you draw the forces? This is what I mean by free body diagram. What are the forces acting? There's a resistive force. They say the driving force and resistive force. Now look at that. They say the driving force and resistive force have the same size. So you can draw, when they say that, you must draw the same length. Okay, this is the driving force. And this is the resistive force. Guys, I repeat, when they give you this information saying same force, when you use the ruler to draw, you must make sure these two arrows are equal and opposite in length. Okay, and there's your weight. Okay, guys, the weight. Okay, I can't erase this, but you must draw it vertically down. And the normal contact force should be perpendicular to that. This is your normal contact force. Okay. Okay, your driving force and normal contact force there, the weight and things like that. Okay, yeah. Okay, there's a question on SF. There was a question on SF. Okay, how many SF do I give? Now, generally, if the values given to you are 2 SF, you can give 2 SF, can give your answer to 2 SF. But if you give 3 SF, it's still okay. Still okay. But you cannot give more. So if your question is about SF, right? You follow the quantities. Mostly, if they give it to you in 2 SF, you can give your final answer to 2 SF. But if you give 3 SF, one more SF for paper 2, no problem. Okay, for paper 2, no problem. But for practical, you must follow the SF of the raw data. Okay, that's different. Practical is very specific. For paper 3, for paper 2, not a real issue. 2 or 3 SF is okay. Okay, I'm going to just show you the trend now. Look at that. This question is on pressure. Okay, guys, look at that. This question is on pressure. Okay, hydraulic press. Now, for combined science students, the concept of pressure is slightly easy. You just talk about force divided by area. Okay, look at the trend, guys. This question is on, can you see? Work energy power. This is on work energy power. Now, can you remember what I shared just now? I said generally the trend is what? You can expect a question on kinematics. Remember just now I showed you the percentage of question. You can see clearly they were asking one question on kinematics, forces, and dynamics. And now there's already a question on work energy power. These are very common. Okay. So then you see this is a question on electromagnetic spectrum. This is a question on electromagnetic spectrum. Okay. I'm just quickly showing you this. Okay. This one is on light. Okay, how do you draw the reflection on a plane mirror? Okay, this one is on again echo, sound waves. Okay, what happens when the formula V equals to 2D over T and things like that. Okay, so now you see question number 7 is all DC circuit question. This is on DC circuits. So guys, maybe you can do this one calculation here. Everyone, try to show that the total resistance is 120. How do you do that? Can you try working it out, guys? Uh, Cheong Fong, what's your question now? Which one is it? What were you asking about? What's the one on the right? Can you ask again? What's your question again? Oh, the car. Okay. The car, yeah. The one to the right is the driving force. This is the driving force. This is the resistive force. Normal contact force and weight. So, guys, how do I do that? You know that this 260, right? And this is 30. And this one is in series, and these two, the 60 and 30, are in parallel. Hmm. Okay, okay, no problem. Okay, so this one is basically you are going to have 1 over 60. You work it out, these two, you find that it's 1 over 20, which is 1 over R parallel, right? Then you add these two together is 20 ohms. You add up 100 plus 20, 120 ohms. So guys, this is a DC circuit question. Okay, guys, I just want all of you to calculate for me what's the PD across AB. I just want to see your concept here. Can you please calculate what's the PD across AB, please? Everyone, calculate what's the PD across AB. They're asking you what is the PD across AB. Here, what's the potential difference? Everyone, use your calculator and do it, please. Try it out. It's okay. Vera, which one do you want me to show? The normal contact force, right? The normal contact force, the normal contact force has to be perpendicular to the surface. Perpendicular to the surface. It's always perpendicular to the surface. The weight has to act vertically downwards to the ground. Yeah. So the question on PD, right? Potential difference, guys. How do I do it? Okay. Let me see whether anyone got an answer. Mm, yep. 1/6. Yes, very good. I see some of you got it, yeah. Guys, look at that. This is 9 volts, right? The PD has to be shared between this and this. The PD has to be shared between the 100 ohm and this whole setup here. So you use your potential divider formula, which is 20. This is 20 ohms, right? The effective of this is 20, right? Over the total resistance is 120 times 9. That's your answer. Okay, this is your answer. So 1/6 times 9. That's how you do it. Okay, 1/6 times 9. Okay, those combined science students, again, this is important also. Yeah, 1.5. Very good. Okay, guys, I just wanted you to get a feel of the paper. Okay, this is your paper two. All right. You need to know what paper two is like, right? Okay. This will be your data analysis question. Uh, this is uh, this is practical electricity. They give you some data about the fuse. Okay, nowadays the data analysis question compared to like 2 years or the previous years, right? It's not that difficult. They only just give uh, like one table of information, and from the table you come up with like you see they say describe the effect of using different currents on the time taken for fuse to melt. So you look at the data and then uh, comment on it, like how does the current affect the time it takes to for a time taken for the fuse to melt. So this is your data analysis question here. Okay. Yeah, this was the data analysis question. Now, I told you, right? They will definitely ask you a question on radioactivity because this is the new topic. They are definitely going to test you that. So, question number 9 is actually radioactivity. Combined science students, you will also be, you go and see your paper. There will be a question on radioactivity. Okay, so actually, I think they did ask quite a bit. So, you must really know radioactivity. Yeah. Okay. Now, here the either or question, right? The last question is the either or. So the first one here is on transformer, which is EMI, electromagnetic induction. Okay. So you have a choice whether to do this question. Okay. And here they combine it together. It was partly EMI, and this one is already current electricity. So they actually merge two topics. Okay. And then the either or, this one is electromagnetism. This question is electromagnetism. Electromagnetism. So you have to choose. You have to answer number 10 or 11. Okay. So you have to choose and know which question will give you the most marks. Yeah. Okay. Sure. Why is it? Okay. Somebody just asked me to explain this again. Okay. Why is it 1.5, right? Because you see, technically, this circuit, right? If I were to simplify it, it's actually 100 ohm and another 20 ohm like that. because the combination of this is 20 ohms. So how do I find the PD across this? I use potential divider. Another way you can do is you go and find 9 divide by 120. You can go and find what is 9 divided by 120. You find the current. And then you take the current and multiply by 20. You will still get 1.5 volt. So that's another way to do it. Or this is a formula for potential divider lah. Okay. All right. So guys, the reason why I showed you this paper is for you to do this yourself. You have to start looking through your O-level papers, whether you are pure physics students or combined science, right? To get a trend, the feel of how the paper looks like. And if you want to gain confidence, right, maybe you can do topical questions first, or otherwise you can start doing the main paper. Maybe you start off with like a 20 paper, then you come up 2021, 2022. You can slowly start doing like this. Okay, I just wanted you to get a feel of what the okay. Somebody asked, what if I answered both? Now you may not have time for that. Okay, I wouldn't suggest you to answer both. You have to really, that's part of your skill to decide which question will you will score more and you answer that. So no point answering both. If you answer both, they will still mark both and they can give you marks based on which one is higher. But I don't think that's a good idea. Okay, you must be strategic and you won't have the time for it. Okay, so guys, coming back to this, right? Okay, so the explanation, like the questions which requires explanation, you have to use it require test your understanding and application. Okay, we'll skip this because the data analysis is already quite like a similar, it's like almost like a normal structured question lah. Okay, for physics practical, okay, I think most of you attended the practical series, but just very quickly, right? There's a section A, which you take about 55 minutes. There are two questions. Okay, the first question is really experiment based, but the second question is part experiment, part planning lah. Okay, and the section B is the one that will require you to do, it's a long question which requires you to do a full experiment with tabulation and graph plotting. Okay, so now normally what happens is you need to swap. Those doing section B, one of you will be doing the section B practical first. The guy beside you will do the section A. And then after 55 minutes, you need to swap. Now, for those students, for combined science students, right? Yours is you will do the chemistry, your chemistry question and the physics question will be there together. So you will, I think you probably start, it's up to you. You start with the physics question or chemistry question. You won't be changing place because whatever they give you will have the physics and the chemistry. The only thing is you must know how to time yourself lah. You must take 45 minutes for physics, 45 minutes for chemistry. But you will only have one chemistry question and one physics question lah. Okay, so guys, for the practical, right? Again, the graph plotting is going to get the question, the section B question, right? The graph and finding the gradient is going to take quite a bit of your marks, almost 7 marks out of 40. So you must choose a proper scale. Okay, you must come up with the graph. The points must be well spread out and things like that. And draw the best fit line. Okay, and calculate the gradient correctly. This is just very quickly. Okay, now for the planning question, right? Okay, the reason why I'm going a bit faster on this is because we have done the practical series last week, but just a quick recap. Okay, so you must know which one is the independent variable, or basically what are you changing and what are you measuring. And you must know, think carefully about your control variables. And a lot of times it actually follows from a given experiment. Okay, it actually follows from a given experiment. But hey, what I can say is for the setup, right? You don't really need to draw a setup unless you really need to modify something. Then you come up with the experiment itself. Okay. Of course, you need to write down the steps. When I say write down the steps, right, you must write down the exactly how you measure the independent variable, what do you use, and how do you measure the dependent variable. Okay, how do you get your data? And you must also suggest what graph will you be plotting. Okay, so what graph will you be plotting, what against what, and how do you think the trend of the graph will look like, and maybe even suggest some precaution for it. So guys, because this is 6 marks, right? 1 mark will go for the stating the control variables. About 2 marks or 3 marks will go for your steps. Okay, 1 mark will be for the correct graph or the trend of the graph. One graph could go for your precaution and things like that. Okay, so normally if you look at the question, they will already tell you what are things they want you to actually address there. Okay, so you need to read that carefully. Okay, so now we come to the last one, which are the critical tips and strategies. Okay, so this is like a overall picture of whatever we discuss. Now, how to improve your grade? Now, first of all, you need to identify the topics you're weak in. Like you yourself will know at this stage, there are some topics that you are good at, some topics which you may not be so strong, right? So you have to go through that. And like what I said, if you have the topical TYS, start doing the topical TYS. But if you don't have topical TYS, I would think that around this time, right, between prelim papers, other school prelim papers, and TYS, if you want to gain confidence, I think the TYS questions are relatively easier. When you look at other school prelim papers, right, harder. Okay, so if you think that okay, never mind, I just focus on TYS, go ahead. Like what you can do is like what I said just now. I look at the 2024 paper, right? You go and take a look at maybe the 2020 paper, 2021, and you'll see that there will be some questions on kinematics. Maybe you can start doing those kinematics questions. Then after that, you do questions on forces and dynamics. That means you keep doing, it doesn't matter all the different papers, you just keep doing the earlier papers, maybe the 2019, 2018. You just do a few of those. Maybe you can keep 2024, 2025, and 2023 to do the full paper later. Okay, so that's why I said if you don't have the topical TYS, no problem. You just use your 10-year series with the full papers. Just choose the different topics. Okay, then DC circuits. So all those topics that you are not so good at, keep doing. Now, combined science students, same thing. Go and do those, just select those questions, attempt that, then go to the other paper, similar topic, attempt that, and then keep doing this. Okay, slowly you will gain the confidence. What I'll do is if let's say sometimes because they also have a booklet, right? The booklet also gives you suggested answers and the answer key, right? Yeah. Also you can maybe you can use that to get started sometimes. Maybe initially you don't know what to do, but as you start doing and getting it better, right? Then you can do without looking at it. That's one way also, right? Okay, so you see, this says make sure you know what is missing in your answers and learn from your mistakes. Okay, this one is just telling you do topical revision before doing the whole paper. In a way, what I was trying to suggest to you, like if you don't really have a topical TYS, no problem. Go to the earlier papers and just select the topics and then start doing questions on that topic, same topic from a few years, and then keep doing it like that. Okay. Okay. Remember and understand the concepts well. Okay, and practice more for greater exposure to different questions. Okay, different types of question. You see, like you may have a kinematics question of forces or question on current DC circuits. Just because you do one question or two question, it's not enough. You have to practice to see different variations of the same topic, right? Okay, you have to get different variations of the same topic. Okay, revisit your mistakes so that you don't make the same mistakes again. That means when you make mistakes, right, I would suggest you put a note for yourself. Okay, like for example, this topic, this is the mistake I did. So you put a note and take note of what is the mistake you did and what is the correction. How should you answer it? Like maybe you don't know how to define, say, just say lah, if they ask you to state Ohm's law, you don't know how to write Ohm's law. So after you do that, right, you put a note, okay, Ohm's law is written like this. And, then when you look back at your notebook, right, you know all the little things that you have corrected while doing all the questions. So the next time when you prepare for exam, right, it becomes easier. Okay, you have a whole compilation of things that you have noted down when you did all the papers, you see. Okay, good time management. You must have good time management, guys. Uh, paper one, right? The MCQ questions. Okay, that's 40 marks. So you must also know. Even though paper one, like just now, more or less, nobody indicated that paper one is a problem. But do you know that a lot of students also, right, lose marks because they are very careless when you do paper one. And also their time management. There are cases of students who don't even do the shading until very late. So you see, you need to know you have to do your shading within the 1 hour. Okay, like combined science students also. Everything you need to do the shading before that, yeah. Now, guys, you see this point here, right? Read question carefully. Do not assume an answer quickly because you have done a similar question. I think this is very, very important. You may come across questions that look very similar, and because of that, you may jump into answering it. But you have to be careful, right? You have to read the question carefully, all right? Because they could have something different in it. Okay, so now you see, specifically for paper one. Okay, now read question carefully. Go through all the options. Do not just jump into like, oh, you just think that, oh, this is the answer. Make sure you have eliminated all the other options. Okay, that's very important. You cannot just like quickly go into it and say, oh, this one like that. Okay, and this is the answer. You must make sure that the other three options are definitely out. Okay, and write your answers on the booklet for easier checking. Now, uh, shading your answers immediately, that's also possible. You can do that. Okay, but if you don't want to do that, you can write it down first. Maybe after you do about 20 questions, you can do the shading first. Okay, that's one way. Okay, now the other thing is this. Sometimes you may have, like along the way, you do some questions, you may not be able to do it, right? Now, to be careful, right, I would tell you to shade all those things that you already got, right? And let's say, for example, question number 5, you don't know how to do. Okay, so because you're going so that you don't make a mistake, you can just put a circle around question number 5 and then move on. You can just move on. You don't need to be like thinking that you must get an answer for that first before you move on. You can always come back to like a few questions which you don't know at that time. So you see that one is also, you cannot be wasting a lot of time just on sitting on like two, three questions, and then later the easy questions you're not doing. So you must manage your time correctly. So for paper two, right, guys, I mean, this is where we spend most of our discussion today, because anyway, paper two it carries 50% of the marks. So you see, like you will get questions on state, describe, explain, suggest, right? Okay, and then you have to identify the topic. You must know, like just now, what were we trying to do? What is the topic that's being tested? And from there, you recall the relevant concepts, okay? Use correct keywords and phrasing in your answers. And then you see, plan your answers according to the marks allocated. Remember just now I was telling you, 4 marks question, it's not as easy as that. When you see 4 marks, right, you need to be alert. If it's 1 mark, then you are expected something for 1 mark. If it's 3 marks, that means, let's say it's a qualitative question, right? They are expecting 3 points, So you have to know that they are like 3 marking points. Okay. For like just now, the graph, the demand for the graph was something quite a bit. It's not so easy, right? So it all will boil down to so you cannot just rush into things like that. Okay. For new situations and database questions, read the questions very carefully, right? For clues. So guys, right now the database question is a little easier. They have made it easier. Like if you look at the 2024 paper and 2025 paper, the trend of it has become a little easier compared to the years before that. Okay, the years before that. So you have to be aware. So underline or circle important information. Okay, and comment based on the calculation. Now, for your practical, read the whole question first to get a brief idea before starting, and follow the instructions carefully when doing the experiments. Okay. Okay, that is important, because right now I think some of you are in the midst of your prelim, practical, and all that. So you need to know. Record your readings to the appropriate number of DP, SF, record observations correctly, and use the concepts. I mean, uh, sometimes you can use your concepts to check your readings, but in most cases, you cannot be like going back to your theory. Your theory will help, but that's just a bit, because at the end of the day, what you follow, if you follow the instruction and carry out the experiment, that's the main thing, and record correctly to the correct DP. DP is based on the precision of the instrument, and SF is based on you process based on the raw data, how many SF to give. Now, for practical, recording to the correct number of DP and SF is very sensitive. You have to follow uh, how you do it, okay, based on the instrument as well as the raw data given to you. Okay, right, guys, that's just basically it. Okay, maybe you can just quickly tell me what is your target for physics. Okay, what do you target to get? Okay, that's very good. I see a lot of you putting uh okay, you must set high standards for yourself, guys. You must really put a high benchmark. Okay, and I think that's very, very important that you do that. Okay, yeah, good. Okay, everyone, this is good because you must put high standards. All right. So, what I will tell you now is go and really make use of the 10-year series. Okay, like what we just did just now, right? Start doing that for different years, and slowly you will gain confidence. Okay, this is how you can definitely get A1 or A2 if you really work hard. You really work hard and prepare. The same thing applies to all your other subjects. The more you practice, you're going to get better at it. Okay, you must have that confidence to do it. Okay, all right, guys. Let me just check whether there's a poll. Hannah, is there a poll for this? Guys, hold
Um,
on. Hannah, is there a poll?
I don't think we have a poll for this. They didn't give me anything.
Okay, no worries. Okay, guys, if you have any questions, yeah, we are more or less done. If you have any questions, you can ask. Otherwise, yeah, just remember for chemistry, right? Friday is the, yeah, Chongfang, I think, yeah, they recorded this. Hannah, where will this video be posted? There's a
The,
student asking.
yeah, the videos will be posted on YouTube. So, but we will send emails via Luma.
Oh, okay. Or via Luma. Yeah, there will be. So, yeah, they will inform you via email, and they will also put it up as a video. Yeah, I mean on YouTube. Yeah, thanks. So, guys, yeah, all the best for your prelim. Okay, and you have, based on the date, right? You have now is August, right? August, September. Okay, you have about 2.5 months actually for the theory paper and all. Yeah, you still have August, September. Okay, and by the end of October, it's already most of your papers already, right? Okay, so you have about 2.5 months towards your O levels, including your practical. Okay, okay. If you have no further questions, thank you very much. I hope you have gained something through this session. Okay, all the best for your prelims and your O level, guys. Right. Good night, everyone.